I'd like to start with a little centering, give us a couple minutes to see who else wants to join us in the meantime. Let's start with a short meditation. So I invite you to find a comfortable seat. And take a moment, close your eyes and bring your attention inward. And as you close your eyes and bring your attention inward, take a moment and feel what the environment feels like inside, not as a thought, but maybe perhaps what's the residue or the echo of any emotions that you had. Also notice how much involved your thought is in trying to feel the residues. Well, I was thinking that and that, so I must be sad, or I was thinking the other thing, so I might be upset. I invite you to take 2 steps back and again, feel only. Feel only. What does my body feel like right now? Does it feel alkaline or acidic? Does it feel open or is it closing? Do I feel I'm more in the front or I'm more in the back? Do I feel any pains or any discomfort in any one part of my body? And then draw your attention to breath, to life force, no matter what it is that you may be feeling in your body. As you flare out your nostrils, inhale a stream of prana, life force that is not charged with any emotion, but rather its full potential of life to any direction you want to take it. Exhale, and along with that, exhale any previous emotion. Exhale, 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 squeeze it out. And then again, as you inhale, this time bring your hands to your heart. And feel that inhalation receiving prana entering into your body, allowing you for full potential. And remembering that every breath you take is life force that is neutral. That you can decide what you want it to make it be. Where you want to invest it, where do you want to spend it? How many parts do you want to divide it to? Take one more inhalation, receiving that big gift. As you exhale, bow your chin to your heart and thank yourself for everything that you do for your healing and your evolution. And if you wish to, only if you wish to, bow deeper to thank any god or goddess, any saint or avatar, angel or archangel. I bow to Saint Francis, who's been with me for many, many years. And gently inhale and rise and open your eyes. Welcome once again, namaste. Excuse me. Thank you. Thank you. Do this. It became winter all of a sudden in Costa Rica. No one had told me that that thing exists in Costa Rica. I don't know how I feel about that. And I'm saying that, I'm half teasing while I'm creating my background. There you go. Now I'm feeling better. I want to talk today. Thank you, love. You're the best. So today, I'd like to put in a topic of talking, and I will talk a little bit about it. But one thing I've discovered with our time together, and I feel like all of us here, everyone that's here, mostly everyone that I see here, We've been together for a while, so we're all feeling comfortable, I feel, to open it up more to conversation or to questions and have that back and forth. So one of the things that we've been studying and leaning into with Nina in our Taoist explorations, exploring the way of the Taoist, the Chinese ancient shamanism, was an awesome idea of what they call zero doctrine. Zero doctrine. To live in zero doctrine means to be in a place where no matter what happens, or as we're sitting here, there is nothing inside me pushing me in one direction or another. There's no emotion or need or expectation. There's no doctrine that makes me say that, well, if we had 5 more people, then today's talk would be great. Or if we didn't have the talk on Mondays and it was Wednesdays, it would be better. There is nothing inside the mind that poses it's there to pose a comparison of how the mind, the ego, the narrator would think, would suggest that reality would be better. That reality would be bettered if. And I don't know, have you ever felt that way? Anyone? If I had that house, if I had that motorcycle, especially all my life, I loved motorcycles since I was 17. So there was always that motorcycle for many years. My life wasn't enough until I had it. But whatever it is, fill in that space. If I didn't have that relationship, if I hadn't that book, if it was not sunset and it was sunrise, the narrator's nature is instigated exactly by that, or rather, let me say this again. The narrator's motive, what triggers, what awakens the narrator's voice to speak, is always something that the narrator is resistant to. It is what yoga calls, through the practices of, through the control of breath, we arrive at the cessation of the fluctuations of the mind. The control of breath means that I come to a place that I am on my yoga mat, in my yoga room, in a tiny room, it doesn't matter where I'm at, or out in nature, and I empty myself from anything and everything from the outside, and I come to rest in my Buddha nature, in my inside, where that part of the soul, of the true self, is always with God. There's not one moment we're separated from God. And there is nothing ever that needed or could have or would have been different than what it is. Everything is. And then it's not. It's something else. And then that something else moves along too. And then it's something else. Yet, as we move into our bodies and as we move into our minds, and especially I want to say that the minds that we, if that's okay for me to make a we statement, I'll make an I statement. The mind that I cultivated being a person living in the West made me and brought me into a place where I felt that there were things I needed. There were things I needed that for me to feel complete, there was something else that I needed. And sometimes, a lot of times, this was translated into emotion. So it was either I needed someone to be loving me back, or I needed to be in a relationship, or I needed. And right there, no matter what it is we're looking at, material, spiritual, emotional, whatever it is, that's exactly where the Buddha says the attachment of any sort, I'm attached to how it could be. Attachment is the beginning of all suffering. So it is one of the most important things to realize, and what I asked earlier is, like I said, so what are you feeling? If you're inhaling this breath right now, and I'm going to say it again, I'm going to ask it again. If you're taking this inhalation, what you just received was life. It was all of life. Because without that breath, you would not have your life. Without this breath and the next breath, and 2-3 breaths away, we're really already gone. But that breath is the breath of all of life. And in other words, according to the yogis, the Taoists, the shamans, it is clear. I saw a few birds just went by. The yogis and the shamans, birds. That life force that you received is complete. It is all that we can have and all that we can ask for, all that we actually need in order to be alive, which means conscious, which means having the experience of being. Yet, with the way the mind works, we are culturally cultivating a leaning towards, that's where the doctrine comes in. We culturally have a specific doctrine. Our culture, our neighborhood say, well, if you do have a white house with a white picket fence, then you should be happy. But someone else's culture in New York City or in Tokyo would say, well, if you have an apartment building on the 27th floor or the 50th floor, then you should be happy. Another culture says, well, you should be married by the time you're 12, 13, the latest. Other cultures say, well, Jesus, what did you even say? You should be this or that. So each culture creates a doctrine. And as we grow, as we are raised in these languages, depending on the language that I'm raised in, I, along with the language, inherit a doctrine. I inherit a way of being, or a way that is telling me what I need to have in order to be full, in order to be whole. And again, we're coming back to what yoga is and what shamanism is and what Taoists and martial arts are about. Why meditation? And the idea is that through all these practices, we come to a realization that everything we have, everything we want is right here, right now. Everything we could ever hope so is right here, right now. And anything else, to feel that we're lacking something, is but an illusion, because even God is here. And this is where God is fully here. God is, the goddess and the God is fully present in your body. That's why you are here. That's why you could say, enter into the Zoom meeting. I am here. I am consciousness. I am interacting with other parts of myself. So again, all of Buddhism says, the Buddha says, attachment is the beginning of all suffering. Yoga says the state of life in culture is suffering, samsara. And they all lead to practices, from the Buddhist meditation to the yoga asana and pranayama, to the martial arts, Tai Chi forms, Qigong and Shaolin Kung Fu, to clear out the 12 meridians, to clear out the house, so the house is not under a wrong impression. So the temple is not already leaning into doctrine, which is instigating, triggering the doctrine of the language and the culture that I'm in, to believe that I need this in order to be complete. And the beauty of it lies not in this part of the conversation. The beauty of it lies in the momentarily or hourly or a day of experiencing, or a minute or a few minutes or a few seconds of actually experiencing that zero doctrine. It's like, how can I let go? What else can I let go of? What else can I let go of? And in that letting go, being a place where you're realizing that you never had anything, you never really can have something. Things are constantly moving, like the I Ching, the book of changes, points out to. Things come and they go. They're yin and they're yang. They're full yin, they're medium yin, and they go. And for me, because, as you know, both Nina and I have spent each separate and together the last several years we've been together, diving into studying and trying to understand what this practice wants to give. What is liberation? I feel that having received this gift that we've received of realizing when we were already here in Costa Rica, that wait a minute, maybe we should not return and see and wait out this COVID thing for another 6 months or another 6 months. we came to a point that we had to let go of the house, the cars, the motorcycles, the snowboard, my bicycle, my kayak, Nina's favorite blanket, a couple things, Oh, some really nice little stone sculptures I got from Peru. And some of the things were expensive because it was an Audi, and some of the things were expensive because I got it from a specific interaction with a shaman when my life was saved. And he said, I want you to have this piece of this stone and remember this moment. So things have value in different ways. But I think and I feel that the act of surrendering and releasing all these things, may that be value of emotions or maybe that value of a dollar value, actually pushed me over a little bit, or I could say pushed us, Nina and I, these are our conversations this last couple months, to come into a place of freedom that we've never felt before. Freedom being liberation, the liberation that these practices promise that they offer. And again, even in the practice, the yogi says, practice daily with never looking forward to the fruits of your practice, because that is attachment. Because then you're going to say, well, only if I do the handstand, or then if I only can not breathe for 17 minutes, only when I reach and perfect that posture will I be full, will I be whole and happy, which is yet again another non-truth. Tantra yoga tells us that we wake up in this life, we're born in this life with an innate yearning and an innate ache. And that is because we are with God, we are God, and when we come here to separate from God in order to have the opportunity to see God. Because if I'm God, well, I'm me. What am I going to do? See myself in the mirror? Where if I can separate myself and I can turn around, I can talk and see and fall in love or admire or like or have conversation that sparks things. I can see myself in a whole other way. So Tantra says we are all God looking at each other. We're God looking at God. But yet, because we left being the wholeness of God, there's an innate sensation that we need and this is a mammalian part, that we need a partner, and that mammalian part that ensures that most likely we may get a partner and then perpetuate the species. And the innate ache that could be yearning for either the partner or an innate ache of that something is missing because I am missing hanging out with God. I'm missing that sensation that I always knew for eternity, for all eternity, of being wholeness. Because now I've come and I'm just a part of the wholeness, but not it fully. Or that's my awareness. So the letting go of everything has once again, and this is the second round for me, because in 2003 when I was diagnosed with cancer, I had a big life and a big photography studio, and I had my cars, my motorcycles, my sailing boats at my life. I left with a backpack, and that was the first time, and the gift that I got to lose everything was everything, because I was able to save my life. If I was holding on to a boat or to a car or to a motorcycle or to a studio, I would have definitely given my life to that cancer that came. And here I had the chance, and actually it became a little bit easier because of course practice makes things easier. Had the chance and the opportunity to once again, it's like that life that I created when I left Greece and was able to start recreating a life, 15 years of living in upstate New York and teaching out of Kripalu, and everything that I built there. And many of you know the house, you've been there. We've done so many sweat lodges together and prayer circles and drumming circles. Giving that up was once again, a huge gift. A huge gift, because now I again feel I am untethered. I can expand more to what I was beginning to identify of who I was and what I was. A house, a car, even the sweat lodge starts defining you, and then that defining starts holding you back from shifting, evolving, changing. So I'm noticing myself, and I'm noticing two things: that there's a part of myself, the narrator, whom I've diligently had many conversations with and have been trying to train so I don't have those kind of thoughts or wishes of like, oh, I need the car, I need the motorcycle, I need the house. And I feel that conversation is always there. That conversation is always there. There's always a ray. Of course, you know, I see some of you that know even that how I love motorcycles. I think motorcycles are just one of the most liberating feelings, to be on a motorcycle and feel the wind, and it's like flying. It's like being in total freedom. I feel that, and I understand, and it's really clear for me that I am in a full place of emptiness outside, makes me and brings me into a full place of wholeness and feeling filled and overwhelmed by gratitude inside where I really truly live. And this conversation has changed. And I think, if I may, Sheila, you asked something yesterday about when do we arrive at a point, or when do we come? It was like a certain moment of life. It's like, how do we arrive somewhere? And the arrival is in exactly that. We're already all there. The arrival of what may be called enlightenment, the arrival of what may be called a spiritual being. That's our nature. That's who we are. And we're definitely spirits. We're definitely spirits. We're definitely these beautiful glowing lights in these, what our beloved friend here, Garnet, calls earth suits. And these earth suits are made of stardust. They're like literally stardust, carbon and crystal and quartz crystals. We're like these awesome temples made of crystals. And then you squeeze the crystals, they create electricity, and then you feel the electricity, and the electricity tells your glands what emotion to bring up. And we live every moment in these, what do we call it, a domino effect of miracles that happen one after the other. And there is beyond infinite fullness and wholeness, because this experience is magical. So we have a choice. We can either live in lack and have that voice, the narrator, saying, well, yeah, Ray was right, but if I get the couch, I will feel better. And you know, the yogic teachings say that, but if I have the bigger house, I will feel better. And I'm going to tell you both statements are true, but I'm also going to say that the more we're staying in the narrator's voice, the more we're staying attached to suffering, the more we're staying attached to creating hormones. And this is the most important thing that I could say, really, that I have arrived to understand with a good 20 years of solid practice, 30 years of research, but the last 20 years I'm like in it. The moment I want something, I am secreting a hormone. The moment I secrete that hormone, my blood flow is feeding my cells. My cells are eating that hormone, and they're creating a receptor made for that hormone. The more years I feed that hormone to my cells, the more years my cells create the receptors and are now addicted, expecting, wanting, they're dying to feel that emotion, that chemical that's running in the blood. And when I come to the realization and I understand, talking about the know thyself, which took me a good 20 years to start understanding what part of myself, and it is this self, is the whole cellular body, the wetsuit, the earth suit we're wearing, that is important to first know, or else we'll never know anything about ourselves in our life. When I understand that that's happening on a cellular level, and that for me to change who I am, I need to change my food, my thoughts, and what I breathe. If I don't arrive at these three places, I can never really change who I am. If I continue to eat what I always eaten, if I continue to drink what I've always drank, and if I continue to want and need what I've always continued to want and need, continue to think the same thoughts, then I will always be the same. And maybe there's nothing wrong with that. Actually, there really isn't. But if that self always feels, well, you know what, this is who I am, but I always get the short end of the stick of some deals. And you know what, every time I've tried to create a business with friends, I end up like they take the money. Or every time I really want a car, it ends up that the day I get it, I have to pay a bigger bill. The living in the same place means that and eating the same food means that I will always be governed by some emotions that are even better than bread. Bread being comfort food. I'm going to have some emotions that are such comfort food and such a deep level of patterns that I've known since I was 3 and 4 and 5 and 6, that the only place when I arrive there, even if I'm talking to a friend and I'm yelling, or I'm talking to a friend and I'm crying on the shoulder, that could be my pattern, and that could be exactly where I'm at. That's my comfort food. I know people that are righteously right, righteously sad, righteously upset and angry for decades. And their focus is outside. Their focus is in what they're upset about. Their focus is who they're angry with. If it's a politician, is it COVID? Is it the ex-wife? Is it the mayor? Is it the chiropractor? It doesn't matter. While they're focusing outside, the only thing we do is essentially we're looking to choose, to pick that interaction that's going to happen, that's going to secrete that specific hormone that is my comfort hormone. It is that I think that is who I truly am. So I'm going to take a moment on that and to just let you unpack it, and I'm going to see if there's something here. I got a message, but unpack it and feel if there's a question or something that's coming up for you right now, or an emotion, or something you want to share or ask. Thank you, Jeffrey. That's really nice. Jeff says here, wanting and aspiring between ego-driven desires and experiences that are spiritually fulfilling. That's awesome. And I think that Jeff is exactly where it's at. So what I develop, and I see Michelle has her hand up. I'll come to you, Michelle, in 2 minutes, in a second. Jeff, I think that's where it's at, because we will always have the narrator voice inside us. And I will always identify as Ray. Ray, who once was a kid with a bicycle. Ray, who once was a photographer. Ray, who once was a yoga teacher. Ray, who now is a shaman. So there's an identification which is healthy with the self and with the ego. So then there's a conversation and a hormonal state of being that I rest in, which says I am Ray. Things I like and things I dislike make this hormonal identity, this endocrine identity that I call Ray, and that you know as Ray, especially, many of you, but Jeff, over a decade of being friends and talking and having these heart-to-heart conversations on all subjects. So the spiritual path is the moment that I awaken a witness, and I am witnessing. That's what we practice yoga on the mat, which again we have together for so many years. That I'm practicing the yoga and I'm saying, well, in Warrior 2, I'm getting upset and I'm going to get out of the posture and I'm going to just walk away from the mat. And then the witness says, no, breathe. Inhale, stay a little deeper into the posture, expand, soften, align. And you're beginning to train the nervous system to be aligned to the higher self, to the witness itself, rather than the nervous system being the immediate hormonal reaction that guides you always. Because then you're only an ego, and I love how you separate that, and it's exactly that. I can recognize what is ego-driven, which is always going to ego meaning I separate from everything else, will always bring me into suffering, because I can never have the whole planet. Even Bezos or whoever, silly people out there, I cannot have all the yachts of the world. So when I watch that and I am able to watch myself, then I am co-piloting my life, my personal self, my ego, the narrator, along with a higher self, the soul and the purpose that I've come here for. And I feel that the best way to live life, or what I've found, having sat with several enlightened people, I am not, and you guys know it, one to choose that I'm going to go into a cave and choose to be next to God while in a cave. I will wait for my turn, and when I'm 92, I'm going to go and sit next to God. But when I'm here, I'm going to say, thank you, God, for giving me this blue sea, the green mountains, the rivers. I am here because you've asked me to, and I'm going to take them all in. May I be walking by them or being there with a motorcycle or a bicycle. So the play here, and I think that was the conversation we had, Sheila, the other day on that workshop, Shaman for Skeptics, is the play is like, how can I be fully, remember, I'm fully God. You are God, and it's all okay. And sometimes I'll feel lack, and I can lean into that emotion, or I feel want, and I can lean a little bit into that emotion, or I feel, oh, I got it, I got the new car, and I can feel into that emotion of the happiness. It might bring me momentarily till I scratch it, till I get that first scratch on the new car, right? But I also need to remember that that car isn't who I am. That bicycle, even anything that's outside me. So if I'm remembering that, I feel that we arrive at a point where that's the alignment of being human and being God. That's the alignment, even of Patanjali says in the Yoga Sutras, both the material and the spiritual are for the soul. So I can live a life that I am surfing between the two, so I'm really receiving the gifts of all. Okay. There was one more question. Michelle. Did Michelle leave? I can't see Michelle now.
Oh, Michelle had her hand up. I hope. Okay, she is good. Okay. No, Michelle, come on in. Yes.
Oh, I ended up putting it in the chat. Sorry.
Because no worries. Go ahead, though.
Your answer touched on what I was thinking, right? Because I appreciate what you said about every time we want something, we are literally creating a chemical addiction to it and focusing on that desire and that leading to suffering. And I was trying to reconcile that in my mind with manifesting that which I, want, right? I know I don't need it, but what I want to experience in this life. So where you just went with that question, just addressed a lot of what I was looking for there. So I really appreciate it, Ray.
Sure thing. I like to do that. But you asking, though, makes me go a little bit further deeper into it and what I'm thinking. And it's this. I remember I was kicking and screaming when I had to go to summer camp. And I was crying, and I don't want to go, and I don't want to go. I want to be here in the neighborhood with my friends. And then I remember kicking and screaming when they were taking me away from camp at the end of the summer. No, I don't want to. And one of the things that I felt, having lost friends, having lost my father, is that there's an innate loss with this gift. We're given something that inherently, we have to give back. There's a moment we're going to all leave this camp. And in that, there's like little moments through and through this whole experience. And I feel that awareness, someone said to Carlos Castaneda was asking his teacher, Don Juan, so what's the difference between a shaman and the rest of the people? And he said, the shaman knows he will die. Whereas the rest of the people live as if they're going to live forever. So it doesn't matter what we do and what we don't do because we're going to live forever. And the shaman doesn't live like that. The shaman knows that there's an end to this moment, and it is a moment. And we'll be kicking and screaming going out of this camp as we probably were coming in. We know we were screaming and crying as we came in. So I feel that doesn't necessarily have to come at all with an innate sadness. Although there is that color a little bit, there's a little bit of like melancholy when I think of a couple of friends that I've lost that left, when I think of my father and I miss them. But the bigger gifts it gives me, because again, I actually feel so more connected with them and with my father and with my friends. I keep on seeing them in front of me and things that happen. And it's just like, and I'm getting a bigger understanding of what life really is. And that I feel is one of the most key important elements that's my measure. I'm here and I'm gonna go. And this is a moment to celebrate because I'm here and You are here, and Amanda's here, and Erica's here, and Serena's here, and we're here, guys. We're at the camp. We're at the camp, and this is awesome. And if I can take life every moment by that, then I'm awakened. Most people create a copy-paste day that is exactly like a menu of hormones that goes, I'm in the bus going to work, I'm feeling this, I'm in the office feeling that, I'm commuting back, I'm eating this, I'm eating that. And there's like all these copy-paste moments because the mammalian part of ourself loves repeating things, both because of the addiction and also to make sure that the ego is there. It's like, oh, I did this yesterday and I do this every day, so I'm here today again. But the daring spiritual seeker goes to feel God, wants the moment of ecstasy, and that moment is you're letting go of a lot of things. That moment is like, it's like a little dying, and it can be in some ways another addiction by itself. But we know through all the trainings, but we know through all the practices and all that is here, all the schools, may that be yoga, shamanism, Ayurveda, Tai Chi, Qigong, the martial arts, the yogis, that the only way to really live fully life is through practice, through a discipline. And that's why yoga, for example, is called the discipline of freedom. Because if I don't discipline my narrator, my ego, I will live a very simple life. And again, there's nothing wrong with that either. I will live a life that I went to camp and left and came and went again, and I didn't even know it. It came and went. It all went. And that's what I've realized. And one of the things that we talk about with Nina is it's like when we're working with something, is like, how do you create something? How do you manifest something? Or how do you change something? And the true understanding of shamanic work, it's like we're manifesting a healing for a client of mine. The true healing and ability to actually manifest from idea, from ether, to actual material, to a result in another human being or in reality around you, is the ability to focus and is the ability to hold attention in one place without changing chemistry like this. So if you can arch your chemistry and focus in one thing, then that thing will be changed. What you look at will change. When I hold in the arch of affection the client I'm working with, regardless of what tool I'm using, may that be a rattle, a crystal, or talk, I have them in the arch of affection, then that dis-ease will shift towards ease. It will have a conversation with overall karma. What is the most important thing for this person? Is it for them to live, or is it for them to die? I am never in the position to know what is better for the person. I am always also, though, hopeful for life, as it was for my life 16 years ago, and being immersed and saturated, satiated in the affection of the shamans and their guidance. Everything morphed in a molecular structure in my body, and we were in National Institute of Health and watching an MRIs and CAT scans, things disappear, and then whatever you're doing, keep on doing. So thus, I feel that we're here for a series of experiences in life, in that when I have the ability to not immediately react to what's happening, I had a flat tire, or I lost my Audi altogether, someone took it. If I can stay and watch, I remain in the arch of the experience, and I grow, and I have a more actual, essential experience of life itself. I have a more real experience of life itself. And that is what is the spiritual growth, and that is where it really counts in the karmic bank account, the only bank account that really counts for me. And it's just like, I met this person, we were talking about investments in Bitcoin and crypto, and someone said, I have this thing I call the money machine. And I'm like, we were talking about it later, I'm like, I don't care about it. I have this thing it's a time machine. Money everyone can have. Time is I feel, the most precious thing that exists. Time. Can I have time? Give it to me. I don't need $1, but I need a minute. I can use a minute, right? Because you can't really do anything with $1 if you don't have a minute. You can do a lot of things if you have a minute. You can choose anything you want to do if you have a minute, an hour, a day. So I feel, and that's what the Jaguar path is, a bridge what I've really been looking for. When I was going out there 30 years and 20 years ago and even 15 years ago to workshops and trainings and more trainings and more, it's like I would be in this ecstatic place sitting with a guru oming, and we're like in this place next to God, and then Monday morning I'd be crashing back to my mundane reality. And I'm like, this is not sustainable. This is like, why isn't there a workshop that brings me there and leaves me there? I'm always next to God. So it's come to be a great realization, as it's been a thought that's with me for the last 20 years, and I've been working on it, that I don't want to always be there. I'm here now. So I want to be a little bit with Ray and a little bit with God. A little bit with Ray, a little bit with God. And I want to remember that you are God. And you are Ray. And we're here and we have time. And this is the moment, the peak of the summer of this camp is now. And if I can live there, I'm living in the optimal state of living, because at the end, we're given a body that has specific predisposition and a time restriction. But the only thing we could do, and this is what all these practices are about, coming from the Greeks, the ancient Greeks, my heritage, F-zine, optimal living, is like, what can I do to optimize my brain? What can I do to optimize my body? What can I do to optimize my experience of living? Where is that optimal state? So once I read that from Patanjali, both the spiritual and the material for the soul, it really liberated me, because I've met hundreds, if not thousands, of yogis that I'm sorry they're moving around life with a lot of poverty consciousness, as if I buy a new car, I'm going to lose all my spirituality. And I've, of course, met thousands and hundreds of other people that can't even go to the mat because it's weird, and why are you doing there? That's really weird, because they're locked and encaged in this doctrine of a dogma of a culture that is void of spirit. And the idea is that we have both. Here's my matter, and I can put this on a motorcycle or on a surfboard or just sit on the beach, but I can be in my matter. And here's also my soul, and they both meet here. And this is the surf. This is like where we're at. This is, I feel, where the camp is at. If I can keep on bringing these closer together. And this is also what I know, that they're going to keep on doing this. Then one moment I'll be more like, whoa, check out that Audi. And then the other moment I'm like, whoa, I'm going to be for at least a month without being, talking. I want to be silent. So I'm moving from the spiritual to the material. And I feel, and again, as I mentioned earlier, that these practices, these disciplines, are exactly that. They're the disciplines that teach us, that allow us, that help us to train our nervous system and our endocrine system, so they listen to the higher self, or there's an awareness of what is happening, rather than me just going for the material all the time and just letting behind God and letting this other part of Ray be without that happiness, without the ecstasy, without the beauty and the sense of actual God and being with God, which we always are. And pause for a moment. I'm looking to see if there are any other questions. I hope that answered the question further, or
Yes, thank you.
or maybe I hope it gives birth to another 100 questions. to move. We evolve through questions and through questioning, through seeking and finding. Anyone else? Any question?
Ray.
Jeff, my brother.
Yesterday's conversation about shamanism and skepticism has been rumbling around as soon as it ended in my mind. The Sunday Boston Globe was waiting for me. It was Sunday. So there was the real world and the collective consciousness calling to me, as it does every Sunday morning. I fell into my habit, so to speak. The tune-ups are crucial. We have a foot in both worlds, all of us, some more than others. And all I'm saying to you is the tune-ups, the connections are really important, because collective consciousness is strong. It really is. It is for me, at least. So I'm just sharing that with you, man.
That's beautiful, and it's right on, Jeff. It's just exactly what I'm talking about. It's exactly what I'm talking about. We will always be drawn by the collective consciousness, because we're part of it. we're a voice in it. We're a light in it. We're a part of it. We're like, what do they call pixels? We're one pixel of the whole image, right? So we're one of the pixels. And we'll move. And I cannot be, that's why I always say when we all meet here or when we're doing a yoga class, I'm like, thank you guys for being here. Thank you guys. Because you're that. You're the tune-up. I get to be with tribe and I get to say these things and they can be in our norm, right? I'm not like, because there's other places if I start saying any of all this, if I say one of these sentences, everyone will be like, what's wrong with you? Right? That guy came rain. It was really weird, right? I mean, so I agree. That's the tune-up.
Well, yeah, it's a delicate dance. It really is. And
but no, and that's the only thing we can do, and that's the huge point. And I'm really happy. It's almost like we're arriving at this point of our conversation, which we opened 10 years ago with all of you guys. But it's just like, keep the witness awake. You knew you were picking up the paper and you knew that there was an emotion coming up because of politics or because of COVID. What else? And it's cool because it's good to be informed. Maybe part of us. It's good. It's okay to be informed. So a part of you is there. So, but if you're witnessing and knowing, so it's not happening to you, but you're deciding what part of it is happening to you and for how long. Because that's what I asked earlier in the beginning. I said, okay, we'll start with a meditation. How are you feeling? If you close your eyes, what are you feeling? And then most of us, what we do is we close our eyes and we start thinking the last thing we were thinking. But to really develop the fine sensation of actually feeling the emotions that are running in the physical body is where I'm really trying to like carve in right now, because I can become aware, because that's where awareness and consciousness lies, in the electrochemical state that I'm in. So when I close my eyes, I know today, and you might hear from my voice, there was a house that we wanted to rent, and we were going to go today and rent it, and it fell through. Someone snatched it under our hands, right under our feet. What do you call it? So there's a part of Ray that wanted that house. So a part of it was like, a little bit of, it's just like, why? I'm a shaman, I should have had the house. But see, that's the joke. It's just like, so I can be like, okay, to notice that I also thought that and laugh at it, because the thing is, if I let the narrator take over and I let the collective consciousness take over, then I'm not living my life, I'm living people's life. And I'm not being snobbish. I'm saying we have the responsibility. I don't know. I came here and I was told I need to be a shaman and a healer and to teach love, affection, and healing tools of evolution. So my job in the camp here, the summer camp, is to keep on remembering what my job is. And that is the tool that I found, is to be the witness of what is happening, right? And now I know after so many years, because it was a house that we wanted to rent. We didn't lose anything. I mean, I let go of my whole house. I mean, and it wasn't the cost. It was like the 75,000 hours that I put and doing the floors and doing all the carpentry work. But that too, I'm like so happy to surrender it, because that is holding me. And now what I'm feeling, we're coming back and we're like, oh my God, what is going to happen? What kind of an awesome house that we haven't seen yet is going to come our way, and they're going to ask for us to rent it because we missed that which we thought we wanted. Are you with me? It's like, I need to be aware of the emotions that are governing my body, and I need to always remember to let go, to return to zero doctrine. I don't need the house. I really don't. And there's so many things, and that's why collective is really interesting, and where I place myself is interested. Because here, there's many times we live in, here in Costa Rica, there's a whole neighborhood where, on this part of this town that we live in, there's all tin houses. And it's awesome, and they're all outside because they don't have electricity, so they're all outside on the road during the night, and there's some old couches, and there's a party every night. There's this beautiful dancing and guitars and some cans, and everyone's pura vida, man, pura vida, pure life. And I'm like, I am going to be sad because we like that villa with the view of the sea and I'm going to feel incomplete? Let me get my bearings correctly here with the actual collective. It's like, and how many people on the world, on the planet, through the history of our species, where are we? And that's where the ego gets a little bit mixed up. The ego says, well, I feel that I have been hurt when I was a child. My mother was overbearing and my uncle didn't really give a damn about me, and I've created all these stories and I'm in this chemical reality that I love to maul. Because if I'm keeping up the story, I'm keeping up my addiction. And when I'm keeping up my addiction, I keep on feeling, yep, it's me. I am me. But when I'm defining me, I am excluding the possibility of becoming someone better, someone wider, someone different, someone more evolved, right? And that's the trick. And it's exactly where you said it, Jeff. It's like to be able to notice. And it's okay to read the paper if that's the choice. It's okay if you feel that in your overall path, where is this taking you? I like to be informed on Sundays. That's awesome. I totally respect that. And you know that. I respect having a political opinion. But more and more for me, I haven't heard any news for more than a year. For more than a year, I haven't, like, there was a couple channels that were comedians or this or that I would kind of sideways get my news. There are no news. There's news. There's a new monkey in town. And there's whales out there, and there's stars falling, and it's rainy season, and the river is flooded. And I'm alive. And you guys are here, and I'm so happy. You're here, and we're talking. And this is summer camp. And that won't change. You know, as long as I know where camp is, and I keep on practicing the disciplines of holding my heart open, because at the end of the day, yeah, let me not include this. The whole point of everything we're saying, of where you want to evolve and why you want to be the witness of what's happening, is so you stay with your heart open always. You say, damn, you open the, what is it called, globe? Sunday globe?
Yeah.
You open the Sunday globe and you're like, that's too bad. This and that is happening. I'm sure there's no good news in newspapers. But you can lean into humanity and offer your compassion a little bit, but also then be able to close it and say, this is not the whole reality. Because that's what tends to happen. We think that it's like, this is the whole reality. What I just read, something political. It's either politics or war or sicknesses. These have been happening since we became human, since we became one tribe, let alone since Roman Empire. Because the Roman Empire set up a stage that was better set up than anything else before it, and it's still running the show. And that's an anthropological conversation, not a political conversation. Right? That's when religion and politics became one and started governing together under a specific guide, talking about doctrines. Right? It's a specific political system with a specific way of governing and keeping that all under a way of being. But still, that's not all reality. There's a bigger reality. Actually, the sky is much bigger than any of the news. The water, the ocean is much bigger. The person you love, your dog, is much bigger than anything in the globe. What is it called? Boston Globe. I don't even know what they're called. Any newspaper cannot describe the reality, or the event that I had a flat tire, or the event that I missed the house. We're like, we're moving. It's ours. Yay! No, it isn't. Like, yay! We're not moving. We didn't get it. Yay! Let someone else enjoy it. It's not all of my reality. And as long as you, and that's who your barometer should be. And I think that's what we're all talking about. How can we learn to keep our heart open? And when we learn to keep our heart open, this is where the soul lives. When you learn to keep the heart open, this is what yoga says, that the 3 chakras from below, from Muladhara, all the way rise up to the heart. And the 3 chakras above, from Sahasrara, they all download to the heart. And that's where most of the true essential, not most, that's the beautiful place, the junction of where I am fully me. I am like totally in the camp right now. Now I'm in full life. When my heart is open, even when I'm crying because I lost my father, even when I'm crying because I'm at the airport and my son is leaving again and I won't see him. That's not happening now, but even, keep the heart open, and don't let the mind say, close the heart because you will be protected, because that is not fact. Close your heart and you will be kind of absent from what just happened. You will have not fully lived it, and rather than that protecting you, that just made you cultivate a more shallow consciousness of way of being. So that's what's going to happen tomorrow and the day after and next week and next week. And then I'm going to create this. It's actually, that's what's huge about what I feel and where we're at right now with the studies. If you guys can come, if anyone wants to come to yoga immersion next weekend, we're talking about where the motor system has the conversation with the sensory system. That's exactly where life is happening. And if I am not fully with my heart open there, then what's happening is my electricity is in my adrenals, in my prefrontal cortex, and I'm having a surface experience. I'm trying not to have the experience, and thus life will go. Camp came and left. Home came and left. Our friends came and left. And what do? We were absolutely sure we kept the ark just really tiny once, and I got that car and I bought the house and I avoided that pain. And what happens is it becomes it's not a full experience, where for the daring, with a blanket of affection, we dive fully into the experience and keep on opening the heart. And then keep on practicing the body. And more than ever, I have to share, I am applying the change of food and of diet because it is absolutely so defining of what I'm feeling. All the chemistry in the food is chemicals that I use to build my hormones, to actually make them my emotions. So what I eat really is going to create the emotions. And we've had this conversation many times through the trainings, and it's going to come up more specifically. I'll just say, for those of you who have not been to trainings with us, we know from Chinese medicine, from acupuncture, from martial arts, that it's the internal organs that secrete the chemicals of the emotions. And it is in each one of our internal organs that our emotions live. Like anger is in my liver, and fear is in my kidneys, and sorrow is in my lungs, and anxiety is in my spleens, and so forth and so on. While I am feeling like, oh, poor me, now I'm angry because so-and-so took the house away from me, that's not the truth. Most likely my liver needs better food because I am more, seems like, ready to be angry because something didn't happen or because something happened. So I'm more ready to eat that, again, that same emotion. So when we begin to change our food and we begin to do cleanses and let go of food, we're already beginning to change the predisposition of the internal organs, opening our 12 meridians. And when the 12 meridians are open, then the heart wants to open fully. There's nothing for the heart to worry about. So on one hand, I'm fully here receiving to my heart in the center of my being, the experience of life. And at the same time staying open in that way, all my meridians are opening and I am expanding outward, giving me the ability to engage in life in a whole different way that I used to, without the disciplines, without the practice, without the know-how, with what the collective consciousness is living with. There's seas, now it's high tide, and then it's low tide, and the whole of countries and the whole of people and communities are going along with the news. Whose news? Well, we each have our individual heart in this moment to be in camp together. The news is a new bird here. Thank you all for being here. Thank you for the questions. We're going to be here again on the 8th. Amanda, if you would be so kind, can you drop that link? Is that easy, if you can have it? We will have a beloved guest, Don Wilbert from Peru, who will bring with him and have with him Don Mariano. And Don Mariano is one of the oldest elders who really is the flame keeper and holds the lineage of the Incas and the Quero shamans. A man that I will call affection impersonated. And so on the 8th we have, there you go. Thank you, Amanda. If anyone interested, again, it's a free workshop. It's a masterclass. Click on it, register, and I'll be very, very happy to see you there. Beloved ones, thank you all for being here again. And again, let me find my gallery view over here so I can see all of you together at the same time. Horpichai, and thank you. Maybe you can unmute yourself and join me in a Horpichai. Let me say thank you in Quechua. Horpichai. For those of you who don't know it, let me hear you. Horpichai. Horpichai. Thank you all. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you're in a beautiful place of open heart. Enjoy the rest of the night at camp. Lots of love to all. See you guys soon.
Bye.